Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Park, friends, guests, neighbors, relatives. Welcome. I'm Rabbi Bertie Becker. This is the Kabbalat Shabbat service. La la la. Just la la la. Just raise your voice up. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Page 2. L'chuneranana l'Adonai nari haletzuya shehenu. L'chuneranana l'Adonai nari haletzuya shehenu. Nikatma banav b'toda bizmirot nari alo l'chuneranana l'Adonai nari aletzuya shehenu. L'chuneranana l'Adonai nari aletzuya shehenu. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose and meaning. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this Shabbat fulfills its promise to us. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Page 4. Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz yiram hayam umlo'o. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. Let the seas roar and all therein thunder. Adonai malach tagel haaretz, yismechu iyim rabim, anan va'arafel, sevivav tzedek umishpat, mechon kis'o. Light or zaruach latzadik, Uyishrei lev simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai v'hodu l'zecher kodsho. Light is sown for the righteous, and joy for the upright in heart. Exult in Adonai, righteous, and give thanks to God's holy name. Praised is Adonai our God, and bow toward God's holy mountain, for Adonai is holy. We invite in the Sabbath bride on page 6. Ya la 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 chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabala lechadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabala la 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 shamur v'zachor b'dibur chad. Ishmianu El Hamayuchad, Adonai Echad, Ushemo Echad, L'Shemo Tiferet V'Liti La 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 L'Echad Odi, Likrat Kala, P'nei Shabbat Nikabala, Adodi, Likrat Kala, P'nei Shabbat Nikabala La 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 Likrat Shabbat, L'Chuvenelcha, Hi Makor HaBracha, Merosh Mikedem Nesucha, Sof Ma'asaba Makshavatehi La 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 L'Chadodi, Likrat Kala, P'nei Shabbat Nikabala, L'Chadodi, Likrat Kala, P'nei Shabbat Nikabala La 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 La. We rise physically or spiritually as we are able to greet the Sabbath bride. Bo'iva Shalom, Ateret Bala, Gam Simcha Zochala, Toch Emunei Am Segula, Bo'ichala La 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 Chadodi, Likrat Kala, P'nei Shabbat Nikabala, L'Chadodi, Likrat Kala, P'nei Shabbat, P'nei Shabbat, P'nei Shabbat Nikabala La 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 La. Please be seated. On page 10, we find the Psalm for Shabbat. The ancient temple, there was a psalm for each day of the week. And for Shabbat, the Levites dedicated this psalm. Tov lehodot l'Adonai u'lizameh shimcha elyon l'hagid baboker chasdecha ve'emunatecha balelot. Yalla la la, yalla la la, yalla la la, yalla la, yalla la la, yalla la la, yalla la la, yalla la, yalla la la, yalla la la, yalla la la, yalla la, yalla la la, yalla la la, yalla la la, yalla la la. It's good to give thanks to Adonai and sing praises to your name, to proclaim your love every morning and your faithfulness every night, to the sound of the 10th-string lyre and the music of the lute and the harp. Your works, Adonai, bring me gladness, and of your deeds I joyously sing. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree and thrive like the cedars of Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they shall flourish in the courts of our God. In their old age, they shall still produce fruit. They are still full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, a rock in whom there is no wrong. Tzadik kadama yifrach, yifrach, tzadik kadama yifrach, tzadik kadama yifrach, yifrach, tzadik kadama yifrach. Ke'erez belvanon yiske, ke'erez belvanon yiske, ke'erez belvanon yiske, yiske. Ke'erez belvanon yiske, ke'erez belvanon yiske, ke'erez belvanon yiske, yiske. We get ready for the call to worship. We rise as we are able, spiritually, physically. Page 13. Teach me, God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Mahu et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Uma'avir yomu mevi laila, uma'avdil bein yomu vein laila. Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 15. We accept God's love into the world. Then we recite the Shema, the watchword of our faith, that God is one, and return God's love, V'ahavta. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, B'shofeinu v'kumeinu, Nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'v'mitzvotecha, Le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, V'orech yameinu, Uvahem negeh, Yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha tasir mimenu l'olamim, Baruch ata Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Let's read the V'ahavta together in page 19 in English. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, and with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them, whether you are tired or rested. Let them guide the works of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the gateway of your house, the doorway of your house, or upon your gates. You shall make for yourself seat on the corners of your garment throughout the ages. The seat are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, am your God. The Mi Chamocha prayer is very unique for this week, for tonight, Shabbat Chanukah, because if you take the first letter of each of those first 5 words, you have an anagram, Maccabi. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'hakodesh, norat ilot ha'osefele, malchutecha ra'u v'necha bokea yam lifnei Moshe, zeli anu v'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. And it was said, the Eternal has rescued Jacob, redeemed him from a mightier power. Praised are you, Eternal God, who redeemed Israel. B'nei Adonai et Yaakov ugoalo miad hazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael Michamocha B'elim Adonai Mikamocha Nedar b'kodesh Norah tehilot O Sefele Norah tehilot O Sefele. Help us, God, to lie down in peace and raise us up, guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace and guide us with your good counsel. Ufros aleinu Sukkot Shalomecha ufros aleinu Sukkot Shalomecha. God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai, our God, grant us your holy Sabbath as a heritage. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Page 24. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dortam b'rit olam b'nei uvein b'nei Yisrael ot hi la'olam v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dortam b'rit olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dortam b'rit olam uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash shavat vayinafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dortam b'rit olam. We rise as we are able for the Hatzi Kaddish to be followed by the Amidah, our conversation with God. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach kirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei delcho beit Yisrael bagala uv'izman kariv v'maru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach L'olam u'l'olmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithalel Shemei d'kedusha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbichata v'nechemata da'amiran balma v'maru. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Umevi Goel Livnei V'Nehem L'ma'an Shemo B'Ahava Melech Oser U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufokei Tzara Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye Metim Atarav Lehoshia Mashiv HaRuach Umarid Hagashem Mechakel Chayim B'Chesed Mechaye Metim B'Rachamim Rabim Zomech Noflim B'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umito Melech Melech Meit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanata L'hachayot Metim Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh HaMetim. You are faithful, giving life to all that live. Praise to you, Adonai, who gives life to all that live. Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Page 33. Heaven and earth and all their beings were finished, and God completed on the seventh day the work that had been done, and ceased upon the seventh day from all the work that had been done. God blessed the seventh day and set it apart, for on it God had ceased from all the work that had been done in carrying out creation. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Ritzei v'mnuchateinu, Kodshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chilkeinu b'toratecha, Sabeinu mituvecha, v'samcheinu b'yeshuatecha, v'tahel libeinu, v'tahel libeinu, la'avtecha ba'emet, v'hanhileinu Adonai Eloheinu, v'havav ratzon Shabbat Kodshecha, v'yanuchu v'Yisrael mikadshei shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh HaShabbat. Page 35 at the top. When we are overwhelmed by life circumstances, shield us from defeat with your words of promise. When we are troubled by turbulence in our lives, shield us from chaos and confusion with your reassuring words of Sabbath peace. Shalom, Rav Yisrael, Tasim Lalam. Shalom, Rav Yisrael, le'olam. Grant lasting peace to your people Israel and to all who dwell on earth. For you are the sovereign Lord of peace. May it please you to bless your people Israel in every season and at every moment with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We take a moment for just silent prayer. Say shalom imromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, imru, amen. Yase shalom, Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Imru, amen. So tonight's story is a Hanukkah tale, and it comes from a book called My Lucky Dreidel by my dear friend Cherie Carol Schwartz. It's called The Light in the Window, an Eastern European folktale by Dov Noy and archived by David HaKohen. Once, in the middle of a cold and snowy winter night in Eastern Europe, a farming family was gathered around the big black wood stove in their cozy house. They were telling each other stories, but then Papa said something that the youngest little Gittel thought was very, very strange. "I hope that the snow stops in time for us to make the trip tomorrow," he said. "Trip? In this great storm? How could anyone want to go out in such a terrible weather? And tomorrow is the first night of Hanukkah." Papa noticed that little Gittel looked confused, and so he explained, "Tomorrow we will all go to our neighbor Alex's house. This year you are old enough to stay awake, and you will hear a lovely story that you will hear again and again for years to come. The rest is a surprise." "Oh, Papa, I love surprises," said Gittel. But for the rest of the evening, the family got ready for Hanukkah. Everyone was busy. They took out pots and pans for making delicious potato latkes, and the children took out their dreidels. Yosef, the older brother, carved a new wooden dreidel for Gittel and drew the letters that stood for "A Great Miracle Happened There." The girls polished the silver Hanukkah menorah with the long curving branches until it shone like the moon. Then the children went off to bed. Mama and Papa looked out the window at the lovely still scene, and they both smiled. The next morning, the sun rose brilliantly and made the whole courtyard look as if it were covered with sparkling gem. The children were very excited when they ran outside to play after the chores. "I don't know how it happens, but there's always good weather for this very special day," said Mama. "And now it is time to make the latkes." The older brothers went to the cellar for the vegetables. Then everybody peeled potatoes and grated onions in preparation for the best latkes in town. The day passed quickly, and soon the sun began to set over the far hills. "Come on, children, get your coats and hats and gloves and the tray of latkes," called Papa. "We can't be late. we have a long walk to Alex's house." "But Papa," asked Gittel, "why are we going all the way to Alex's house on the first night of Hanukkah? He isn't even Jewish." "You will hear the story from Alex once we get there. I promise." And Mama wrapped little Gittel's coat closer around her and gave her a hug. "Just be patient." And so the whole family made their way with their neighbors across the snow-covered countryside toward Alex's farm. This made Gittel even more curious. All the neighbors were talking and laughing with each other, and each family had brought some food. It seemed as if the whole town were going to visit Alex. Finally, they arrived at the farm, and Alex welcomed them warmly in his small house. "Happy Hanukkah! Happy Hanukkah! Oh my goodness, how nice you all look! Look at all this food and the wonderful children. Come in, come in! Go and get a nice and warm place by the fireplace." Soon all the people had their fill of delicious foods, including the best latkes in town. Then Alex called them all together in the living room. "Well," he began. His voice was so low that everyone stayed very quiet so they could hear him. "I guess that it's time to tell my tale. Hanukkah is a time of miracles, but not just from the past. We must always hope that they will continue to happen. We have to tell the story. Who hasn't heard it yet? Gittel? Moshe? Sorry? Come closer to the story and closer to the fire, my dears. Please listen to an old man's tale." And so he began. Once, many years ago, there was a huge snowstorm, much like the one we had yesterday. I was living alone, just as I live now. I could see that big snowstorm coming. I knew that the horses and cows would need food, so I went out to the barn to get them some hay. And then I remembered that I was almost out of firewood, so I headed for the wood. There were no good trees close by, and I kept thinking that if I went a little bit further, I would find all that I needed. It was bitter cold. The snow was whirling around, and I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face. In just a few minutes, the beautiful snow had turned into a stormy nightmare. I lost my sense of direction, walking this way and that, and soon I was hopelessly lost. Now, you might think that it's very silly for a grown man to lose his way right next to his house. Please understand how easy it is to lose your direction in a swirling snowstorm. I was very scared. I could feel my toes growing numb inside my big leather boots. I knew that I had to keep moving to stay warm, but I didn't know where I was going. What if I couldn't find my house? Then I realized that I had been standing still. I couldn't do that, or I would freeze. What was I to do? How would I ever find my way back? I was so very tired, and I knew there was no hope of being rescued. Alex stopped talking. The room was absolutely still. The only sound was the crackling of the fire in the fireplace. The children watched the flames changing shapes and looked at the shadows on the wall. Then they looked back at Alex as he continued. As I trudged through the storm, a big gust of wind pushed the swirling snow aside, and I saw a tree in front of me. The trunk looked so inviting, just the place to take a rest. I stopped for a moment to catch my breath. I sat down in the snow and leaned up against the tree and closed my eyes. "Wake up! Don't die, Mr. Alex! Don't die!" cried Gittel. She got up and threw her arms around the man. "Don't worry, little one," soothed Alex as he patted her soft red hair. "I'm here to tell the story, aren't I?" And Gittel nodded her head, and the older children laughed. So there I was on the ground, all thought of hope gone, when all of a sudden something made me open my eyes. Off in the distance, I saw a little light. No, I thought, I must be dreaming. I rubbed my eyes and looked again. Could there be hope? I stood up and started walking slowly toward the light. Each step that I took was such an effort. I was cold and tired, but each step that I took brought me closer to the tiny light, getting larger in my view. Soon I could see that it was actually 2 little lights in the window. Finally, I came to the door of a house and knocked as loudly as I could. A farmer and his young son came to the door. "Don't cry, your tears will freeze." I looked up, and there was Beryl, one of the neighbor boys. He and his father helped me into their nice warm house, and I was saved. They sat me down in front of the fire, put blankets around me, and gave me warm, delicious soup. Gittel, who had been listening carefully to the whole story, suddenly cried out, "Beryl, that was the boy? Well, that's Papa's name too." And the rest of the family looked at little Gittel, and Mama hugged her and said, "That's right, dear. His name is Beryl." Then Alex continued, "After I began to warm up, there was one thing I wanted to know. The strangest thing happened when I was out in the storm. I had almost given up all hope of surviving when suddenly I thought I saw a light. I followed it, and it led me here. What was it?" "Turn around and see for yourself," said the farmer. There was a silver candlestick with 9 curving branches and 2 flickering candles. "It's beautiful," I said. "But what is it? And why did you put it in the window?" "It's our Hanukkah menorah," explained young Beryl. "Tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, so we have 1 candle plus the shamash, the helper." Then Beryl told me the whole Hanukkah tale, as I sat being warmed by the fire and the beauty of the story. I stayed with the family for the night, and the next morning the sun rose beautiful and bright, just like this morning. Then Beryl and his father led me back to my home. "I don't know how I can ever thank you," I told them. "You saved my life. Your menorah was a miracle for me." I promised myself then and there that I would never forget, and I haven't. I'm not Jewish, but I have never forgotten Hanukkah. Every year I tell my story. A candle in the dark restored my hope and saved my life, and now I light candles of hope with you. Alex stopped talking. Many of the neighbors had tears in their eyes. Everyone was smiling. The fire had burned down low, and the snow glistened outside the window as Alex lit the candles, and everyone recited the prayers for the first night of Hanukkah. Then Gittel spoke up. "What a beautiful story. The Hanukkah menorah in the story was so pretty, almost like ours. And the boy's name in the story was Beryl, just like Papa. But Papa isn't little boy. He's a Papa." And everyone started to laugh. Mama and Papa's eyes were glistening. Papa lifted Gittel up in his strong, safe arms as Alex said gently, "Your Papa is all grown up now, but I can still see his young face at the door that night. Such a young face and so full of hope." So now we're going to light our Chanukiah. It's the second night of lighting. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch שעשה ניסים לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. And now we take a moment to remember those who are in need of healing. Hold in your heart and your mind all those needing physical strength, emotional, mental healing, as well as all of those who take care of them, who also need that strength. We are so fortunate to have so many giving first responders, caretakers in this unfortunate time of the pandemic. So hold those that you know and even those you don't know in your heart. מקור הברכה אמותינו. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu makor habracha bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, send those good healing thoughts out into the world and up into the heavens. Page 39. We rise as we are able for the Aleinu. It is up to us not just to pray, but to do. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, l'tet gedula liyotzeh bereshit. Shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's up to us to hallow creation and respond to life with the fullness of our lives. It is up to us to meet the world, to embrace the whole, even as we wrestle with its part. It's up to us to repair the world and to bind our lives to truth. Therefore, we bend the knee and shake off the stiffness that keeps us from the subtle graces of life and the subtle gestures of love. With reverence and thanksgiving, we accept our destiny and set for ourselves the task of redemption. Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai L'melech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo echad. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who have died at this season in years past, and those whom we've drawn into our heart with our own. Zikranam livracha. May their memories be a blessing. At Shalom Park, we are remembering in the coming week Sylvia Werns, Udasya Ablin, Lillian Toltz, Marvin Kipper, Lilo Dach, Carol Ferrerman, Patricia McGrath, Elaine Rottenberg, Maya Thomas, Idel Manowitz, Ida Gross, Don Warden, Virginia Doyle, Inga Benning, Lyle Louie, Leona Najar, Pauline Esserman, Carol Besman, Ann Madek, Anna Mushik, and Betty Berkowitz. If you are observing a yahrzeit or in Shiva or Shloshim or your first year, please join us for the Kaddish, page 45. Say their names, remember them, hold them in your hearts. If you want to put them into the chat box, I will find those names later and keep them in my prayers for the week. Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ba'alma di v'ra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalal v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, Shemei d'kudisha b'richu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'imiru, Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imiru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, and all who dwell on earth. V'imaru. Amen. And we're going to light Shabbos candles. And say Kiddush and Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. And Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'havav ratzon hinhilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit Yihu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu Maharta Viltanu Kidashta Mikol Hamim Vishabbat Kodshecha V'ahava Uveratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch Atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. Amen. And Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. May you see the blessings in all your days, notice beauty and sweetness and be amazed. May you love without bound, ever feel God's surround. May you mend and tend. May you learn without end. May you see the blessing. May you seize the blessing. May you be a blessing in all of your days. And we finish by inviting the angels in to accompany us throughout Shabbat. Shalom Alechem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei HaElyon, Bimelech, Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaElyon, Bimelech, Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bachuni LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaElyon, Bimelech, Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaElyon, Bimelech, Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom, Hag Sameach. Have a wonderful Shabbat and a beautiful Chanukah. And hopefully you're watching night by night the videos for Hanukkah. I'll see you tomorrow for the third night, the third candle of Hanukkah. Hag Sameach.